Have you ever asked yourself, why does peace feel so far away, even when everything seems fine? You wake up, scroll through your phone, and before you even step out of bed, the world has already invaded your mind. People you don't know, lives you don't live, opinions you never asked for, all pouring into your head like poison disguised as information. And in that quiet moment, somewhere deep inside, a small voice whispers, "This can't be life." That's where Stoicism begins, not in books, not in temples, not in some distant philosophy class, but in this exact moment of quiet rebellion. When a human being realizes that the world outside has too much power over the world within. And the first act of freedom is elimination. The Stoics believed that peace isn't something you find, it's something you uncover. It's always been buried beneath noise, clutter, and the endless cravings of the mind. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If you seek tranquility, do less." But in our age, doing less feels impossible. The modern mind is chained not by things, but by unnecessary things, thoughts, people, habits, distractions, all stealing fragments of the soul. So, let's begin here, with the first things you must quietly remove from your life. Not loudly, not dramatically, quietly, like a warrior cleaning his armor in the dark before battle. Because true transformation doesn't shout, it whispers. Number 1. The need to be liked. It sounds small, but this one has destroyed more lives than war or famine ever could. Every time you adjust your words to please others, you slice a small piece of your truth away. Every time you act out of fear of rejection, you trade authenticity for approval. The Stoics would call this slavery, not of the body, but of the soul. Epictetus said, "If you wish to be loved, love yourself first." The man who needs the crowd's applause will always be its prisoner. Ask yourself, how many of your choices are truly your own? How many were made to protect an image rather than a truth? When you begin to eliminate the need to be liked, silence becomes your power. You no longer need validation, you radiate conviction. And people, ironically, begin to respect you more when you stop begging for it. Number 2. The habit of overthinking. There's a kind of quiet suffering that modern humans endure, not from physical labor, but from the endless spinning of the mind. You replay conversations, imagine outcomes, predict disasters, as if anxiety itself could save you. But it never does. The Stoics understood that most pain is imagination. They called it suffering before it happens. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You suffer more in imagination than in reality." Overthinking is the thief of presence. It pulls you into a world that doesn't exist, and keeps you there, hostage to your own doubts. So, how do you eliminate it? By practicing the art of returning to the present, to what you can control. Epictetus taught that control is the dividing line between peace and torment. You can't control outcomes, only actions. You can't control others, only your response. The moment you realize this, overthinking begins to lose its grip, and peace quietly walks back in. Number 3. The comparison trap. Look around. We live in an age where everyone is performing. The world has turned into a marketplace of illusions. You see success, luxury, happiness, but behind the screen, there's exhaustion, loneliness, and emptiness. The Stoics would have pitied us. They believed comparison was poison to the mind, because it anchors your worth in something that doesn't belong to you. Seneca wrote, "No man can be happy who is looking for what he does not have." When you compare, you create imaginary battles, you versus someone who doesn't even know you exist. You lose twice, once to envy, and again to self-doubt. Eliminate comparison quietly. Celebrate others, but don't mirror them. Walk your own path, not the one lit by someone else's spotlight. True contentment is born the moment you realize, the only person worth competing with is the one you were yesterday. Number 4. The noise of opinions. Everyone has one. Everyone wants to share it. And most are born not from wisdom, but from insecurity. The Stoics practiced something radical, silence. They believed that opinions should be weighed, not swallowed. When Marcus Aurelius ruled Rome, he was surrounded by advisors, flatterers, and critics. Yet he wrote to himself daily, not to others, reminding his soul to stay anchored. "You always own the option of having no opinion," he said. Think about that. the most powerful man in the world, practiced the art of not responding. The next time someone throws their opinion at you like a weapon, do what Marcus did: pause, breathe, and ask, does this deserve space in my mind? Most of the time, the answer will be no. Because peace grows in silence, and silence is something you can't hear when everyone is shouting. Number 5, the fear of change. You tell yourself you're not afraid, but every time life tries to shift, you tighten your grip. You cling to what's familiar, even when it's suffocating you. Why? Because the unknown terrifies the ego. It whispers, what if it's worse? But the Stoics knew a greater truth: what if it's better? Marcus Aurelius wrote, the universe is change, our life is what our thoughts make it. Everything changes, the seasons, the people you love, even your own heartbeat. To resist that is to fight nature itself. When you quietly remove the fear of change, you begin to flow with life, not against it. You start to see endings not as deaths, but as doorways. The Stoic doesn't mourn what changes, he transforms with it. Because he knows that growth never comes without destruction first. Number 6. The desire to control others. This is one of the most exhausting traps of all. You try to fix, persuade, or manage everyone around you: parents, partners, friends, even strangers online. You think if they'd just listen, the world would make sense. But that's not control, that's illusion. Epictetus said, some things are up to us, and some are not. The behavior of others isn't. The only real control you have is over your own choices. The Stoic mind understands that people act from their own reasoning, their own blindness, their own pain, just like you. So, you let go. Not because you don't care, but because you've finally understood the truth. Freedom begins when you stop trying to rewrite other people's stories. When you quietly eliminate the need to control others, your energy returns to its rightful place, your own soul. Number 7. The addiction to distraction. We live in an empire of noise, endless scrolling, constant notifications, a digital world engineered to keep you numb. But the Stoics warned of this centuries ago. Seneca wrote, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Every notification steals a second of your life. Every scroll buries your focus a little deeper under meaningless noise. The Stoic would advise you to withdraw, not to escape, but to reclaim. To make space for stillness again. Because stillness is where you see clearly. It's where the voice of wisdom finally speaks. When you remove distraction, time slows down. You begin to feel again. You begin to think again. And in that silence, you rediscover yourself. Number 8. The need to always be right. How many friendships, how many moments of peace, have you destroyed just to protect your pride? The Stoics saw ego as the root of all conflict, the desperate need to win every argument, to prove superiority, to never admit fault. But a wise man does not need to win. He needs only to understand. Epictetus said, it is impossible to learn that which one thinks one already knows. When you cling to being right, you close your mind. You become deaf to truth. Eliminate the need to be right quietly. The next time someone challenges you, don't react, reflect. Ask yourself, what if they're right? That question alone can change everything. Because humility is not weakness, it's strength restrained by wisdom. Number 9. The burden of grudges. Anger is heavy, fool. It festers in silence. It feeds on your peace. The Stoics taught that holding grudges is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Seneca once said, anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provoked it. Forgiveness doesn't mean approval, it means release. When you eliminate grudges quietly, you don't free the other person, you free yourself. You stop dragging your past into your present. You stop letting old wounds write new chapters. The Stoic forgives not because the other deserves it, but because peace does. Number 10. The illusion of perfect timing. You keep waiting, for the right moment, the perfect conditions, the ideal mood. But the Stoics laughed at that. They knew there's no such thing as the right time, there's only now. Marcus Aurelius wrote, do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good. You don't need more time. You need more courage. When you remove the illusion of perfect timing, you stop postponing your life. You start taking imperfect action, the only kind that ever truly matters. Because waiting kills more dreams than failure ever could. Number 11, the weight of regret. If you listen closely at night, you'll hear it, that quiet ache that says, you should have done more. Regret is a ghost that never sleeps. It follows you through the years, whispering about chances you didn't take, words you didn't say, and roads you never walked. But the Stoics understood something we often forget: the past does not exist anymore. It lives only in memory, and memory is not reality. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Let not your mind dwell on what has been taken from you, but on what remains." When you quietly eliminate regret, you stop trying to rewrite history. You accept that the person you were did the best they could with what they knew. And now, you know more. That's not failure, that's evolution. The past can teach you, but it should never own you. Number 12. The craving for more. More money, more status, more validation, more of everything, except peace. The Stoics called this the sickness of the soul, the endless desire that feeds itself. No matter how much you achieve, the mind says, it's not enough. Seneca warned, he who is not contented with what he has, would not be contented with what he would like to have. When you eliminate craving, you rediscover gratitude. You start seeing wealth not in possessions, but in presence. A cup of water tastes different when you're truly grateful for it. A quiet morning feels like a blessing when you stop demanding more. The Stoic doesn't chase, he receives. And in that receiving, he becomes richer than kings. Number 13. The attachment to identity. You've built a version of yourself, your name, your past, your personality. You guard it fiercely, afraid to lose it. But the Stoics saw the self as fluid, not fixed. They believed the human being is always becoming, never complete. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. You are not your job, your mistakes, or your achievements. You are not even your thoughts. You are the awareness behind them, the observer who watches it all come and go." When you quietly remove attachment to identity, you realize something shocking: you've been trying to protect an illusion. Freedom begins when you stop saying, "This is who I am," and start asking, "Who am I becoming?" Number 14. The need for constant happiness. Modern life sells a lie, that you must always feel good. That sadness is failure, that discomfort means something's wrong. But the Stoics rejected that illusion. They didn't chase happiness, they pursued virtue. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "To love only what happens, what was destined." No greater harmony. True peace isn't found in endless positivity, it's found in acceptance. When you eliminate the need for constant happiness, you stop fearing the dark. You understand that sadness, pain, and loss are not enemies, they are teachers. The Stoic doesn't run from storms. He stands in the rain and whispers, "This too is part of life." And when you can say that, truly say that, even sorrow feels sacred. Number 15. The fear of death. This is the final chain. The quiet terror beneath all others. You may not speak of it, but it shapes everything: the rush to achieve, the panic of wasting time, the desperation to be remembered. But the Stoics looked death in the eye and smiled. Seneca wrote, "He who has learned how to die has unlearned how to be a slave." Death isn't the enemy, it's the reminder. The reminder that time is not infinite, that every moment is a gift already slipping through your fingers. When you eliminate the fear of death, you finally begin to live. You stop existing like a survivor and start moving like a creator. You stop saying, "Someday." You start saying, "Now." And maybe that's the ultimate Stoic truth: life doesn't ask for perfection, only awareness. To walk through the world with an unshaken heart, not because nothing can touch you, but because you no longer need to hold on to what does. You will still feel pain, still face loss, still meet fear, but you will no longer be ruled by them. You will move through them like a mountain standing against wind. Quiet, still, unmoved. So, when you finish this video, don't rush back to noise. Sit for a moment, ask yourself, which of these 15 poisons still lives inside me? And then, without announcement, without noise, begin the work. Remove one today, another tomorrow, quietly, consistently, until one day, peace is no longer something you seek, it's something you've become. Because the Stoics were right, the path to freedom isn't about adding more. It's about letting go, until there's nothing left but what truly matters.